Hello, guys, and welcome to the week number 6 of our class. You're watching over there a video on the TV because basically what we're going to do this week is some practice of some of the things that we have already studied. We're not going to cover another period or a new topic this week. We're going to practice a little bit of what we have studied for the last 4 periods: the Anglo-Saxon, Middle English, Renaissance, and the simultaneous period, that is the uh, the one from the one from the British colonialism. Okay, so remember that I shared with you a song by the Beatles. I assign it as a homework somehow, as an assignment, with some specific, let's say, questions and analysis to be done, right? What I'm going to do right now is to go through that and explain it carefully, little by little. I already provided certain comments in some of your assignments, but I want to do it in a general way as an example in order to model the assignment number 1 that you will be doing for this week. And I don't know if I will have time in this same video or I will do it in an additional one. I will present some of the instructions for the assignment number 2. Okay, so what we are going to do first of all is to explain everything about the literal meaning of the song. Like, this song has many symbolic meanings or different things that we can talk about, but we are going to explain only the literal part. Now, I know that YouTube is really somehow strict sometimes with the copyright. So I expect that I can upload this video and that the video can maintain without a lot of trouble. Anyway, if the video is somehow suspended or reported or something like that for copyright, because this is a song with copyright, I suppose. So I have the version on that I'm recording, and I will have to send it to you in your inboxes or any other way. Anyways, I am doing this video only with educational purposes, not for lucrative purposes. I am not promoting anything else. So hopefully we don't have any trouble, right? So here we go, little by little on this. Give me a sec. Hopefully you can listen properly. No, anyways, if you cannot, I will recommend that you check the information or the versions that I send. I sent a video version before, and we can just check it online. Okay, so here we go. I look at all the lonely people. I look at all the lonely people. Very well. So this part of the lonely people, as you already know, because I have already mentioned this to many of you in your as private comments in your assignments, refer to a particular amount of people that have a certain connotation, no? But that will be part of the symbolic one. So this chorus over here is not yet part of the story, right? Let's say it's something that goes a little bit that we're going to understand in a better way later on. Okay, so let's continue. Eleanor Rigby picks up the rice in the church where Wendy's big. Okay, so we have this probably main character of the story, Eleanor Rigby, that is a woman, and it's mentioning that she's picking up rice in the church where a wedding has been. Now, this behavior is not normal or current at all, right? So we can think from the very beginning of the song that this woman is not what we can call in her right mind. Yes, she could be like a little bit of a lunatic, a person with mental problems, or maybe a homeless person. Well, because that's something that we don't normally do. Now, why would you do that? Yes. Well, if we were going to eat that, it would be mighty few. Not usually. I mean, you couldn't pick up a lot. So maybe there is another reason, right? It's not precisely to eat. Let's see if maybe it's to clean. We don't know. Let's see. It's in a dream, waits up the window, wearing a face that she keeps in a jar. Right. So it says that she lives in a dream. So that is like another clue that the song is providing, that she is not necessarily on her right mind, or that she is not really connected to the reality, right? Then it says that she waits at the window, wearing the face that she keeps in a jar by the door. So this was one of the expressions that I asked you to explain, right? First of all, she waits at the window. We can think of that maybe she's looking through one of the windows of the church, right? Some other people may think that she lives nearby, right? And maybe she just looks from the window of her house that is pretty close to the church. Those are questions that we are not going to be able to respond exactly. Yes, they're just speculation, but those are all, of course, possibilities. Now, if we assume the thesis that she is a homeless person, well, probably this window must belong to the church, not any nearby house. Then we have the expression that I mentioned, wearing the face that she keeps in a jar by the door. Okay, so let's imagine that she literally has somehow of a face floating inside of a jar, and she keeps that for only special occasions, right? That would be something literal to say, right? Of course, this seems to be a little bit more symbolic. It's this person that she reserves that face for only special occasions, right? Like normally she wears a face that is probably her real face, but for these happy occasions, I am assuming, she reserves this. Again, they never mentioned that, but you can assume that this face may be a happy face, a face that would express congratulations for people getting married and their family, etc. Right? Now, for whom is that face? That would be the next verse, no? Who is it for? Who is it for? It says. So, does she wear the face for, as I mentioned some minutes ago, for the people getting married? Does she wear it for herself because that is a special occasion, and just like people wear like new clothes or dress up very elegantly for some particular occasion, such as a birthday or a wedding or Christmas or whatever, it's not clear very much who is she wearing the face for. And that is a question that is open to the listener, in this case to the reader. Then we have the chorus one more time. All the lonely people, where do they all come from? All the lonely people, where do they all belong? Now, this is a very, very open question, guys. Right? It says all the lonely people, where do they all come from? All the lonely people, where do they all belong? Now, these lonely people, of course, let's say, refer, in this case, to Eleanor Rigby, this person who seems to be really lonely, that doesn't even have a family or group of friends that invite her to a wedding or to a special occasion. She's so lonely that she had to be happy through the happiness of other people. Yes, like these strangers that get married in the church. So it's the only consolation that she has, apparently. So where do these people come from? Yes, people from like Eleanor Rigby. Like, why is she that way? What is her origin? And where does she belong? Yes. So what is her place in the world? if she's lonely as it is that she's unable to be in contact with some other people. So this is a really open question, right? For the first chorus, we will discuss this chorus a little bit more.
Father Mackenzie writes in the words of his sermon, no one will hit.
Then enters the second character of the story, that is Father Mackenzie, and this seems to be a priest that, of course, must be in contact with Eleanor Rigby somehow, because he is the one receiving the parishioners, the people who are getting married, presumably the person who married them, right? Marries them. Then this person seems to be really disciplined, really committed to his work as a priest, because he's even preparing his sermon, right? But the lyrics announce that sermon that he is so patiently writing, no one will hear that, yes? And there could be many reasons, no? It's possible that people don't have faith anymore, that they don't go to the church, that they don't believe in his religion anymore, so they simply don't attend. Or, what is, in my opinion, worse, some people go to the church, but they don't even pay attention to that. Yes, they don't believe, and it's more like a habit or a custom and inertia in order to attend this place, but they are not really hearing the sermon, right? So it's like working very hard for nobody listening to what you say. Being a teacher, more or less, right? Here we go. Yeah, just no one comes near. It's the next one. Again, it can be let's say a literal thing. Nobody comes to the sermon. Yes, nobody attends. Or simply, even if they go, like nobody really gets close to the Word of God. Nobody really changes his or her behavior. They don't really have any absorption of what the priest is saying, what religion proposes, what, let's say, moral codes of behavior suggest or demand in a particular religion. In this case, we can think that it may be Catholic or Protestant or something Jewish Christian, right? That are the ones that normally have priests.
Look at the working down in the Saxon night, but there's nobody there.
Well, there's another one in which he says that he's darning his socks in the night while there's nobody there. Basically, this shows again his degree of commitment. Like he's repairing his socks, maybe to do not look poor or careless, somehow to have a good appearance in order to receive his parishioners. That is what you would expect. But one more time, just like the sermon, it is like a waste of time, no? Like, and nobody will notice if he is dirty or clean, or he is careful or not, because if they don't pay attention to something so transcendental as a sermon, well, they wouldn't pay attention to his appearance either, especially his socks that normally nobody sees. So that is why the next verse says that nobody cares. So like, what does he care? Like, what is his persistence with the thing if nobody's going to care?
What does he care? All the lonely people. Where do they all come from? All the lonely people. Where do they all belong?
Okay, so we have again the same chorus, again wondering about the same reasons, and now in this case we can include in this verse the condition of Father Mackenzie. Apparently he's part of a collective that is their religion. There are a lot of priests around the world. I mean, it seems to be a community that is going to support each other. Nevertheless, by the way he is presented in the song, we can presume that he is alone. Yes, he feels lonely. his work is not rendering any fruit. It's been sort of useless somehow, and this is makes him feel lonely, right? And somehow also makes him wonder if what he's doing is worthy at some point. Like, does his effort is benefiting somebody? Like, it's really like giving any sort of fruit? Here we go with the next part.
Ah, look at all the lonely people. Ah, look at all the lonely people. Eleanor Rigby died in the church and was buried along with her men.
Okay, here we have basically the conclusion of the story, in which this woman that was so lonely, that was so strange behaved, that we were not really able to understand in the end her motivations. Well, she died. She died in the church. We can imagine that probably in one of those times that she was attending to an uninvited wedding, crashing this wedding, she died. We can imagine 1,000 reasons, that she had a heart attack, that she fell down and hit her head, that she was just old. Well, there are a lot of different reasons and circumstances in which she may have died. We don't know. She died over there, and she was buried along with her name. There's a strong symbolic sense over here, right? Because this may mean a number of things. First of all, that the only company that she had was her name. Yes, that she died completely alone, so she died only with her name. Now, the other meaning that this could have could be that along with her name, so in company of her name, her history died, right? Like, by the time that she died, no one was going to remember her, who was her, why was she relevant to the world, if she ever was. So basically, this is like a final sentence, no? It's like a way to say that she completely disappeared, right? Like, nobody even like took flowers to her grave. She was utterly forgotten once she died, right? And well, the next one part in fact says that nobody came.
Nobody came for the Mackenzie, wiping the dirt from his hands as he walked.
Right, so here we have the Father Mackenzie that most likely was the person with whom Eleanor Rigby had any sort of contact, even to say hello or goodbye. He was presumably the person who buried her, who probably pronounced any final words for her. Probably he was the one who somehow took care of the little expenses that could have been derivative of. I mean, he was like his last company, right? Her last company, sorry. But that was it, yes. And we can imagine this situation in which he is walking away from the grave, and she doesn't really, he doesn't was able to do anything else for her. It was not like the big deal what he could do for her. Let's go to the next part of the song. Well, there comes the final part that is mighty important. It's just a very simple and short sentence, but it's full with meaning, right? It says, no one was saved, right? So he couldn't save her. Let's say that the main mission or the main goal of a spiritual leader should be like to save people somehow, right? So he wasn't able to save her physically, like he couldn't do anything to stop her from dying. And probably he saw her for a long time. Yes, for a long, long time, because she seems to have been a person who was always going to the weddings and stuff. He saw her over there for a long time, but he was completely unable to save her physically. Not to mention the most important part. No, he wasn't completely unable to save her soul, like in the song. They never mentioned that they have any contact, that he was able to convince her about either believing in God or somehow acting in a determined way. And what really mentions the song is that he feels that the parishioners, the people going to the church, or simply those ignoring the call of the church, were people who were not able to be saved in a religious point of view. Yes, he wasn't completely unable to attract more parishioners, more members of the religion, so they couldn't be saved, right? They couldn't be convinced about the goodness of God, or the benefits of God, or even the existence of God. Yes. So in the end, nobody was saved. Not Eleanor, not the people, not the priest himself, because actually he was failing at his mission somehow. And let's take a look at the final chorus and discuss at a more general level, no?
Where do they all come from? All the lonely people. Where do they all belong?
Right. So, well, the first chorus we dedicated to Eleanor, the second to the Father Mackenzie. Well, let's dedicate the final one to people in general, right? Because the way I understand it, these lonely people refer to everybody, to every single living being in the world, right? It basically proposes that we are all lonely. Yes, we are millions and millions of people in the world, but our company is really scarce, right? We suffer alone, we live alone, we have some limited company, but in general, well, we are all lonely somehow. Yes, and well, these two questions that I asked, as I mentioned at the beginning, are really fundamental. Yes, all the lonely people, so all of us, where do they all come from? Right? What is our origin? Right? This is a question of eminently philosophical nature, right? Like, where do we come from? What is our origin? Is it evolution? Is it a religious miracle? Is it a casualty? Is it experiments with the aliens? I don't know, right? There's a questioning over there about human existence. And most importantly, the next, like, where do they all belong? Where are we going from? Where are we going to? Sorry, right? Like, what is our purpose in life? What is our destination and destiny? Right? Geographical and let's say a little bit more in terms of motivation, or in terms of purpose, of goals, or utility. Right? So the song closes exactly as it opens, asking two fundamental questions, and either they didn't answer, yes, like they give the opportunity to the listener or to the reader to answer, or, which is worse, the answer was very grim. Where do we come from? It doesn't matter. Where are we going? Nowhere. Yes, we're all going to die, and nobody's going to care, and the world will continue marching on, and that's it. Yes. So hopefully we were able to understand this part of the song. I mean, everything related to the literal part, some of the symbolic, say, elements, and some other things. Okay. So thank you very much. Hope the video. I'm not pretty sure because I had a really improvised tripod over here. I am thankful enough because my cats didn't trip it over and destroy the whole thing. So I expect that this experiment has been practical for you somehow. Okay, so that was it. See you on the next video, in which we are going to discuss certain things about the period in which this song can be classified, and the assignments as well. Okay, so thank you very much. Bye bye and hugs.